Welcome to episode 106 of The Endless Stream. I'm Aidan, and this week I'm joined by Brian. We are two artists, illustrators, filmmakers, and all-round shit-talkers, and this week we are talking about Annihilation, a film from a little while back. We're talking about Dungeons and Dragons, we're talking about Zelda, we're talking about Star Wars Visions, we're talking about The Mandalorian, we're talking about all the nerd stuff that's fit to talk about. We're talking about upcoming Marvel's trailer. The trailer looks fun. Brian disagrees. We got a review in from Kat Friend, who's a long-time listener. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to the podcast, heading over to iTunes, Spotify, rating, reviewing, liking, subscribing. All of those good things really help us out. You can also hit Instagram at The Endless Cast, where we put up art and clips to go with each episode. That's a great place to reach out to us, suggest something for us to watch, disagree with our opinions, just engage us in conversation. You can also send us an email at theendlesscast@gmail.com. I'm still in Chicago. Kevin is still building his house. Brian is still looking after all of the dogs in Ireland. He had a lovely day yesterday, had a barbecue. We had hamburgers and hot dogs, drank beers in the sun. It was great. The very next day it snowed and we had loads and loads of hamburger buns left over. We had an abundance of hamburgers. All of that being said, let's get into the episode. Good morning, Brian.
Do you want to try that again?
Good afternoon.
That's better. Good morning.
It is a bright and cheery morning here in Chicago. It's a Saturday.
It's miserable today.
Oh.
It's disgusting. It's really nice on Thursday. Some lovely weather. Today, not so much.
Oh.
Today sucks.
Shit. We were going to go and do a thing. We were going to go see this, like, I don't know what it is. I haven't actually looked. Every description of it I get is weird. It's called The House at the Rock or The House on the Rock. It's in Wisconsin. It's like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive out of here. The way I've heard it described is it's a cross between like a Collier's Mansion and the Overlook Hotel. You know, that, or this is the sense I'm getting from it. You know, like it's like a hoarder's, like this guy built a weird collection of, maybe it's like Bleak House. Like I think, I'm just picturing things based on what I've been told, you know. It's a guy built a collection of weird shit in an old fucking house, and it's supposed to be a bit of a trip. And it was supposed to be rainy as fuck today, so that was the plan. But then the forecast changed to 30-degree weather, so we decided less driving across country, more sitting in the garden with beers and a barbecue. So that's gonna be fun.
Well, is that like 90 Fahrenheit? 80, 90.
Do you know, I very purposely kept it in European, because I don't know the other. Did Marla just growl?
Yes, yeah, it was more of a grumble. Yeah, she's
86.
bit of a whinge sometimes. 86. That's pretty hot.
30 degrees is my shutdown point in Europe. It's
right.
30 degrees is the point I noted when I was on holiday in Bordeaux, and I just sat down under a tree. I was just like, yeah, it was just shutting down. I just could not walk any further.
You need to do some hot yoga classes.
Oh, right.
Build up your tolerance.
My heat tolerance. That's not a terrible idea.
It's not a terrible idea. It's a great idea.
And I need to walk more excessive distances. I'm cycling a lot. It's fucking great. It is very fun to cycle on a bicycle that doesn't weigh a ton in a city that is very flat. So I'm just whipping around the city on this little orange fixie. I had somebody give me a little bike compliment as I was rounding the corner. Just like, sweet bike. And I was like, thank you. Give him a little nod. Like he was in his car, leaning out the window.
Was it a sweet bike or was it sweet bike?
No. I choose to believe it's sincere.
You sure?
Yeah.
Bike nerd.
No, I shut your face, man. My bike is sweet. No, it's an orange bike. It's cool. This week was really fun, I think. This week was really fun. It's the first week where I've got like the open mic thing kind of like really flowing. I just Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm not sure if there's one today. The weekend seems to be more paid events rather than open mics. But like I just hopped on the bike and 4-mile cycle off to the other side of the city and do me set, meet some people, 4 miles back, cup of tea, get up the next morning, gym, swan around, repeat.
And I see Chris bought some bourbon cream biscuits. I assume Chris bought some, or did you order some?
Chris bought some back.
You bought some back.
So I am bourboned. I will have them all eaten fairly quickly. Like Chris wasn't bringing an industrial quantity of bourbon biscuits back. He bought a couple packs, and I'm surprised they've lasted as long as they have. To be fair, it's been a week.
They are quite easy to go through.
Yeah. No, you inhale those fuckers. How about you? How was your week?
Played with puppies. It's been a long week. I was like, was that last week or this week? It was this week.
Yeah, I saw some puppy videos going up.
Yeah.
Where does the litter of puppies come from? Are they was one of the dogs in the what would I call where you work? Is it a shelter? Is it a what would you call it?
It's a charity or an NGO.
Okay.
It's called Dogs for the Disabled.
Okay.
They breed dogs as well.
Okay. So it's not like they brought in a litter from somewhere.
No.
Okay.
No. Even now, just this week, there's 2 brood mares, I guess you'd call them, except not a mare.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't call it a mare, really, would you? Just call it a brood. Wouldn't just be a brood.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, there's 2 dogs that they have at the moment that they are hoping will produce a litter probably this year. So they had their checkup with the vet, and one of them I think is good to go. I don't know if I'm supposed to say any of this stuff, but I'm sure it's.
I don't think it's a problem. They know
I'm sure it's not a problem. Yeah, no, but they breed the dogs themselves.
Very good.
As far as I know, they would have like the stud from outside, so it'd be, through whatever kind of network of contacts they have, they'd know somebody with a dog kind of suitable. So I don't think they have any studs themselves. They just have the female dog for breeding. Yep. So that's where the litters come from.
Very good.
If you want more information, ask your mother about how that works. But yeah, no, there was a litter born. I think it was back in late February. So they're only that'd be about right. I think they're 8 weeks old now, so they've kind of come into where we are, and they've got this little puppy thing set up where they can keep them separated until they'll be by themselves. Well, not by themselves, but they'll be kind of kept from the dogs in training because they'd be much too old kind of to be around.
Yeah.
So I was doing a spot of babysitting on Wednesday.
Aww.
Wednesday? Or was it Tuesday?
I think Tuesday I started seeing the videos on Instagram. It was early, yeah.
It's been a long week. It might have been Tuesday and Wednesday. I can't remember. This is all fascinating, I'm sure.
Listen, puppies, like people like puppies and they're visible on your Instagram.
You know what's better than talking about puppies is just like watching them, talking about them, not so much probably. But that was probably the highlight of my week, I think, was playing with puppies.
Joe Biden's been visiting the country. What's I don't get the news coverage, or I'm not watching RTE News, or what are the highlights of that?
They milked it for days.
Well, when did he leave?
4 days. I think you only left yesterday.
Okay.
Last night, I think.
I'm definitely talking about it here.
Late last night. I think Rob Carney might be a distant relative or something. So I think on the first day he was here. I guess I've only been picking it up and kind of by osmosis, like a radio in the background, or just hearing people talking about stuff in passing. So I don't even know if I have this right. I think he's a distant relation to Rob Carney, the rugby player.
Okay.
And he made some reference to that, and he talked about how, I think, if I've understood the story correctly, he meant to say, he beat the hell out of the All Blacks.
Yeah.
Have you heard this?
Yeah, go on.
You did? Okay.
Yeah. No, go on.
He said instead that he beat the hell out of the Black and Tans.
Yeah.
Which isn't
It's not a huge gaff.
Worst mistake,
really.
really. Yeah, it's not really. Yeah.
You don't enjoy history humor?
Not my favorite. Really.
Okay. So Eddie Izzard's out.
He is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I like history. I like history and science, and
I never said I don't like history.
no, I know. But I like
Don't
history
put words in
humor.
my mouth.
Humor.
Don't put words in my mouth.
All right.
How dare you? How dare you? Mulaney's bit about the GPO was funny. That was good. Or, the GPO and O'Connell Street. But that wasn't really a history joke, so much as an observation that we've got this historic location where something quite eventful happened. And you can see the remnants of what happened, in the building. And then 2 doors down, there's a 24-hour casino. Is it 24 hour?
I don't think so, but it is definitely shit.
Yeah.
It is definitely shit.
Great. Who lets that happen?
Oh, man, I don't know. Fucking
Here's
Bertie
this
Ahern.
street, the fucking
Charlie Hoy. It's long enough.
the widest, presumably widest
Yeah, that
street
was a thing,
in a
right?
built-up urban area in Dublin, in the country, in the entire country probably. And let's put a
Shit
building
box.
full of slot machines.
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
they've had the building next to them vacant for 20 years with just a big tarp up that says Dr. Quirky's Good Time Emporium.
Was it fun time or good time?
I think it's Good Time. Maybe I'm wrong.
Good time. I can't remember.
I'm not a fan of the place. I do think
No.
they could do with revitalizing those streets. How do you do that though? Because I know Times Square, the legislation they brought in meant that you had to sell some percentage of tourist goods. You had to be selling tourist merchandise to bring people in, and it kind of changed the businesses that were in that area over time. They kind of drove out the the sex shows and the slot show, the peep shows and things like that through kind of just forcing tourism into the space. But what's resulted is I don't know Times Square all that well, but I feel like all the businesses in there is the M&M store and Apple stores, and it became massively commercial, or massively corporatized. So if we drove little weirdo dirtbag businesses out and tried to bring the quality of stuff there up, how do we do that? Because who buys out Dr. Quirky without having the money of it becoming an Apple store or something?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, presumably it's that the property, the rental on the property is probably too high given the foot traffic. So, you probably can only have some large.
Yeah.
Which itself isn't bad,
Yeah.
I mean, it's perpendicular to the other main shopping street in the city, so why not just let it spill over? And it doesn't have to take over 100% of it. If it was 50% of it, then people would be more inclined. Other businesses would be more inclined to kind of set up there because
there's big L. Yeah. There's a few things on there where it's just okay, I guess Cleary's reopened, I guess, which is not a prestige thing. Is that the street where we should stick big fancy pants hotels? If you put a couple of fantastic hotels there, real high end, whatever the fuck, with the shopping street right outside the door, and then okay, that's that. Then let's let the rest of the city be a little more, houses and businesses and a little more bars and stuff. And if you want to put, I don't know what I'm even trying to get at, but it's because me even suggesting that somebody stick hotels there, it's it's not they're going to go, okay, and then we'll stop putting hotels in the rest of the part of the city where we're destroying sort of public spaces, or community spaces in favor of tourist destinations. They would just do both.
just less casinos.
Yeah.
Let's just start with that.
Okay.
Less casinos, less vacant properties.
Yeah. All right.
That'd be a good start.
Have we solved O'Connell Street?
I think so. Yeah, we figured it out.
No,
He
well,
fixed it.
we were talking Biden there, I guess. I know he met Michael D, which of course he would.
Miggledy's dog barked at him.
Miggledy's dog
Funny.
barked at him. Yeah.
That's funny.
This was the fun of the, I guess, the gig I did last night, which was it's a thing called Power Hour. We talked about it last week. It's in the basement of a VFW. It's a weird room. Everybody's talking to you. Everybody's kind of heckling you. I had a handful of new ideas going into the place, and I was like, what order will I do these things in? And I had stuff I wasn't going to do, stuff that I had been talking about Ireland previously. And I did record this, just for listening back, but like, it went well because every fucking thing they heckled me with, I was trying to start something else, and then they went, I love your Prime Minister's dog. And I'm like, okay, you got president wrong, but I've got the bit about the dog, and I've got the little bit about talking about Michael D. Higgins, explaining, and then they were like, oh, well, what is it? What's the temperature like in fucking Ireland now? And I had the whole bit about us tolerating heat. Like, it just went well for me. I don't know that it would next week, but it was a good chat, I went from being a complete stranger to somebody who had kind of quick answers to questions, and it was fun. It was very fun. I'm having fun, Brian.
Fun is fun.
Fun is fun.
Fun is fun.
I did a street art walking tour yesterday. We walked around probably about 2 miles around Chicago, looking at the various sort of murals and throw-ups and tags and street art stuff that has been placed around the city. And that's if anybody's in Chicago, I guess this is what they're after. Offbeat street art tour. Great fun. Very informative about the history of the city and the point of public art. He talked about the sort of he broke it into 4 categories. I've never really thought this much about street art, but it was interesting having like somebody kind of academically lecture on it, because we sat in a cafe at the start for 20 minutes and he just went through some points of history of like, there's tags which are inside of 2 minutes. There's spontaneous sort of public street art that people put up themselves. There's community, like what's the word, like commercially or community organized street art. Like he broke it into 4 categories. I can't remember all of them, but like it was good then walking around the city and seeing these spaces that, like, there's a beautiful one of Robin Williams. I think I might have put a picture.
I think I saw a picture
Instagram.
of that. Yeah,
it's gorgeous. It's done between 2 artists, and he was talking about the how something gets put up on a wall and it doesn't immediately get defaced by local artists, like, so something like that being a case of like Williams had such a tie to Chicago and it has an underlying theme on mental health, and there is a bit of a sort of code of respect, and some younger heads will of course book the rules or book the sort of traditions a little bit. Like, one person I think has thrown their name up on that Robin Williams thing. Near the cafe where we started, there was an alleyway, and it's like you're walking straight out of a cafe with a stranger down an alley. So it's like, well, this is safe, but it is, of course. It was beautiful. After the Trump election, 2 artists. I don't know if it expanded but beyond these 2, but he pointed out as being these 2 on this alley anyway. And the hashtag was #Paint Love Across America, I think. And one guy asked them to come and do a piece on his garage door of like his favorite musician, and like there's text and muraling in it. And then the neighbors kind of all got in on it. So this alleyway has 5-6 pieces by the same 2 artists.
that's cool.
And they then did like a massive mural the side of a wall that was like musicians associated with the area. And there's like a recording studio in one of the buildings, so they were up for it. And the last thing he showed us was this sort of group wall where the 2 artists did like a central piece, and one of them did like wild style bubble writing stuff of his his tag or whatever. But the idea he said with it is that these are 2 New York guys or 2 New York people coming in and just taking up a massive amount of like art real estate in Chicago. And what they did was they just invited other artists to come along and like collab on one wall together. And that was, you know, involving the locals, explaining what was happening. So then if like other people come along and see these New York artists have done like this whole alley, they'll also see, oh no, they did this collab piece together. So there was some degree of like consent or collaboration with local people. So it wasn't just strangers came in and took up the joint. So even having this piece here was about signposting, it's okay for us to have done this. You know, don't come in and just wreck our shit just because we're from New York.
Just because we're outsiders.
That's it, yeah. He talked very much about the fact that like there's this, it was an abandoned rail line called the 606, and it was just like overgrown and stuff, and like certain sections of it, the community would tidy it up themselves and make it sort of a public space. But eventually the local government figured out that this was a good plan, so they just sort of redeveloped the whole thing and made it a walking and cycling trail. But it suddenly was this like real local amenity, and it drove housing prices up around the area, so it drove a lot of people out at the same time. So there's a real gentrification thing happening since they did that in 2017, plus the pandemic causing confusion and chaos. And so it was really interesting because he was talking about that street art thing definitely ties into like economic development of an area as well. You know, like the people that put this art on the wall sometimes now can't afford to live in the area that they did it. Robin Williams' thing was cool. Big old piece of Quincy Jones on one of the buildings, which is great. It looks amazing. Apparently it's right by the Blue Line train. Apparently you can find a video of like the drivers were just slowing down while the guy was working to just watch what was happening. Though it was like causing delays in the train system as they were putting it up. Chris said he would.
Is it kind of a portrait style, or is it a bit more?
It's very portrait style. It's very, very high fidelity. There's a lot of like texture in the pores and everything. Like it's really great. I'll see if I can send you on a picture. That concept of like the trains stopping was fucking hilarious to me. But Chris was telling me that when they lived in their old gaff, like earlier, I don't know, 2 years ago, they were doing a barbecue outside in the garden, and the train just stopped on the rail above them and went, "What you grilling?" And they had a chat and putting any rubs on it. What's? I just love the, you know when the Dart stops in Dublin and you're like, why are we sitting between? Like, I guess imagine the driver leaning out the window just talking to somebody in their back garden, just going, "Oh yeah, that looks good work." So that was great. That was one of Kat's suggestions. Kat, who's with us the last 10 days. She's leaving Monday, but like, it was a great suggestion. It was really good fun. It was really starting to get sunny, but it wasn't unbearable. Hot yoga class is required. You should have that Quincy image in your WhatsApp.
Yep, it's cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
So that went up during the whole 2020 summer 2020. Breonna Taylor, George Floyd stuff. It's a lovely picture. Lovely work. Chicago's cool, guys. I'm going to be here a while longer. I'm going to keep talking about it. Shut up.
I saw, I think it was Neil Brennan talking to Nick Kroll.
Oh yeah, I was actually just listening to that.
Yeah, and I couldn't really tell when they were kind of like just riffing on something that actually happened or just making something up entirely for, as a bit. But I can't even remember now. I think he was saying that he appeared on a talk show with Rashida Jones, and Rashida Jones had like a Teddy Ruxpin with a message recorded from Quincy Jones.
Right.
But then I'm sure this bit is then not true, or maybe it is, I don't know. But Quincy Jones said something or he recorded something, and they had like the Teddy Ruxpin bear say it. It was something to the effect of, may your dreams soar as high as giraffe vagina or something like that. Something along those lines.
Right.
But I just remembered it because I didn't watch it that long ago, and it was Quincy Jones, and we're talking about Quincy Jones now, and I probably won't be able to think of Quincy Jones without
High as giraffe pussy.
Yeah. If he even did say it. I can imagine him saying it.
Yeah.
Why not? Have you seen the documentary about him?
No.
I think it was a Netflix documentary.
When did that go up?
God, it was a couple of years ago now. It's very good. I think it was just called Quincy, maybe.
Okay.
It's very good.
I did get to see... we went to see Dungeons & Dragons on Monday night, I think. You've seen it.
How much did that cost you?
Do you know what? Like, the ticket was probably about $20. Okay. And I think I'd pay $18, $19 in Dublin for the IMAX or something by the time I'm... Whatever. I bought food for myself and Chris. That was about $40. Yeah, I don't know. I gotta stop complaining about the cost and just keep enjoying stuff. Because
what did you think of the film?
Fun. I really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it, and it's funny because we were there with Kat, and Kat went to something else because, like, it was very funny leaving it because it was me, Chris, and Chris's D&D crew.
Okay.
And so that it was a group, visit, and Kat went to see Paint, the Owen Wilson thing.
Ah, yes.
Now she said it was terrible.
Doesn't look great.
But she also, as we were walking out, said that she thought that Dungeons and Dragons was terrible. The script was bad. There was no chemistry between the cast. There wasn't enough diversity in the monsters and creatures. So I think she might be out of her head. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed the chemistry between the cast. I thought the script was fun, and I loved the diversity in all the animals and the creatures. I was watching the escape sequence you were talking about, where the shapeshifter is shifting between all these forms, and I was watching it going, like, it wasn't until we were sort of 20 seconds into it, I went, oh, this is the bit Brian was talking about. I was like, actually, I'm really enjoying this. Like, I know what he's saying in terms of it being like too much like single movement camera stuff. Like, I remember when I saw Fight Club doing that sort of like continuous camera movement stuff, Fincher, and I was like, oh, this was revolutionary at the time, but it's definitely overplayed now, and it does get exhausting. But I was watching this escape going, oh, this is really fun, I am enjoying this, and like, it's not as bad as Brian said. And then she turned into the deer, and I was like, oh yeah, they used all the money on the mouse. The deer is...
And like, I don't have a problem with like a long take in theory. It's just sometimes it's nowhere near as exciting as whoever is calling the shots thinks it is, Yeah. Because there's very often it's very often I'll watch a film and I wish a shot was just a little bit longer. But I get why they cut it, for the sake of rhythm and pacing and all that. But sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish that held a little bit longer there because it looks great.
Yeah.
And then there's, this, especially with a CGI shot where it's a long take, and it's just, it doesn't serve it as well as you maybe think. But I don't have a problem with it necessarily. But then, she turns into a deer, and it's like, okay, no, nope, cut away, cut to deer doesn't look good. Just cut to anything else.
And especially at that point in the chase, if she had been like, if she was somehow restricted, if she didn't get enough time or to get the moments, if they had people swinging axes at her and it was her, and I felt the urgency and of like if I'm able to reconnect with a human being at that point, a human, I guess, analog, if she's not meant to be human, like I would have felt more, jeopardy for her, until she finally gets space to turn into a deer and buck off. And that's like a moment, where it's just like she finally gets a window and they think they've killed her, and then the deer boosts out the door. And it's like, that would have been, like I would have liked that chase to have escalated to the point where she wasn't getting the opportunity to change.
Yeah.
And
the thing, like, there wasn't enough at the start when she changes. There's some good ideas, like where she's in the suit of armor. She's like there's a rhythm to that. She's a small mouse. turns into human sized, then she's running, and then there's a change, and there's it's punctuated by different moments, but there's a point then where it's just like I guess there's no choreography there, or at least no interesting choreography. It's obviously storyboarded because it has to be, but it's not punctuated in a kind of a, not that they've run out of ideas, but it's just, why is this shot still going on like this? It needs another element. It needs something else to change it up. Like you said, back into human form for a bit and then back. But it's not terrible. It was just stuck out because I was watching it.
No,
it
stuck out.
If it was in a
compared to
5-minute
everything
short,
else, that shot is terrible.
if it was in a 5-minute short in Love, Death and Robots or something, it's fine.
Yeah.
If the whole thing is animated and then that's in there. But when it's in the middle of a live action film, and it's not that the CGI is bad, it's just that it's not kind of this. It's just very apparent when it's cutting from CGI to live action, and then when you've got an extended sequence like that, I don't hate it, but I'm always kind of watching that kind of thing going. Just waiting for it to move on to the next part, because there's not enough visual ideas kind of going on to warrant doing an extended kind of camera move like that.
Yeah. Well, I think by the time she's the mouse and she gets to the window and she's out as the bird and you think, oh, she's safe, and then the arrows start flying and you're like, oh, cool. There's still jeopardy, and then she lands in the town, turns back to human form. It's like, great, I can reconnect with this character.
Yep.
And then looks at the people on the horses, comes back, and she's one of the weird birds. And it's like, I really would have just liked to have followed her for a bit. And okay, then given chase. And because she's really, she's a very empathetic and endearing character, and you liked her. And to see her in jeopardy would engage you, I guess, And
have you watched, what's it called? I'm Not Okay With This? Is that what it's called? Can double check the name of that.
That's
Netflix show. It only got one season.
I do remember that. Yeah, was she in that?
I think she was the main character in that.
Okay, she gets superpowers or something.
She gets like telekinetic powers. I'm assuming that's the same actress because it looks. Yeah, it's her. Yeah,
cool.
Sophia Lillis.
She was great. She's great. I really liked her.
She was great in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. I liked. I was so glad how they used Hugh Grant. I thought he was just going to, because in the trailers you just see him as this lord of the place, and I just thought he was going to be this almost answer. The way Jeff Goldblum is in Ragnarok. You just arrive and he's this kind of weirdo character. And it was like, that's going to have, I don't know, that's going to have diminishing returns. You're just going to it'd be kind of funny for a minute, but then he's just this sort of weirdo lord. But given that he was so tied to them and he had been this rogue and this con man, he got to be a lot of fun, is basically what I'm saying. He wasn't just this like two-dimensional asshat, he was a complete asshat, a three-dimensional asshat. The Red Witch was great. It looked like an Olsen, looked like Elizabeth Olsen with a hood on.
Actually, to be honest, when I first saw that Sophia Lillis was in it, I thought it was her as well. Right. It looks like her with really heavy,
Daisy
eyeshadow.
Headley or something.
Not sure.
Okay.
Anyway,
she was great.
Also,
Chris Pine was really good. Michelle Rodriguez, her husband.
Bridgerton was great. I don't know his name. The dude from Bridgerton.
Oh, Renee Jean Page.
Isn't that the other way around?
John Rennie Page?
I don't know.
John Page Rennie? I thought it was Rennie Jean Page.
I don't know. Actually,
he was very good. Yeah,
he's great though.
Yeah, and again, I was unsure how they were going to use him. Oh, Regé Jean Page. Yeah, did I say Rennie?
Yeah.
Regé Jean Page. He was very good, and it was great to see him fight. He did action well, I guess. There's a lot of CG and stuff in there as well, but when they let him let loose, it was good fun. All of the side quests, all of the mini adventures that it really was, going to the graveyard, fighting the dragon, heading to the whatever. There was so much content in it that
I thought that final heist was, I think I said when I first talked about it, it was all kind of straightforward enough.
Hmm.
But then that final heist is where it kind of flipped because, you know, it kept going wrong and it kept kind of improvising it. And that's where it kind of turned a bit on its head. And I think that elevated it just another step then as well, above kind of being a very middle of the road thing. You know,
Hmm.
it did unexpected stuff there
Yeah,
with the painting and the portal. And it's all good stuff.
yeah, and the helm of reckoning or whatever, Jonathan the Birdman, like, um, I was really, really pleasantly surprised. Is basically what I'm getting at. I thought it was going to be. I thought it might be fun because I liked the trailer. I liked the cast, and it looked like they did it right. I was really happy with how much I enjoyed it. And
Yep.
again, 6 people walked out of there going, "That was great. That was so much fun. Look at all the mini adventures. The mirror stuff was fun. The little mechanics they were playing with. They set up the bridge with this weird complex puzzle that you have to get across, and then somebody just fucks it up immediately, which is pure
I
D&D,
saw-
where a dungeon
yeah,
master
I saw a few
puts
people
together a
kind
plan.
of talking about that. That
And one
there's a lot
player-
of kind of meta stuff in there where the players just make a mess, and just
Yeah.
even the fact that they get the stick is very much. Somebody kind of pointed out that it's very much like a DM saying, "Okay, you know the thing you got earlier that that does this now."
That's
Just
a
to
get out of
give you
jail free card.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody literally says "nice save" at one point, like saving roll type of thing.
Okay.
It was good fun. I do see what you're saying in terms of, like, I could see at any moment us doing like a fourth wall break
away
and they're all
to-
sitting
yeah.
behind a table going, "What the fuck are you doing?" Anyway,
I'm glad it didn't, but
so
that it kind of felt like that. Yeah.
the relationship between Chris Pine and his wife and his daughter and his motivations was very nice as well. Like, there's that line where he's like, because she was an infant and didn't really remember her mother. Holga was the one that raised her. So him going, "I told you I was going to get your mother back, but really I was going to get my wife because you never knew." Like, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a weird distinction, but one is coming from a slightly more selfish place from the perspective of the child. So I don't know. Maybe I'm giving Dungeons and Dragons more credit than it should, given Cat's review, which was just like 6 of us walking out going, "This is amazing," and her walking out going, "I'm taking crazy pills."
I could see both people. Like, I could see both sides of that. You know,
Sure.
I could see why somebody wouldn't like it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because it kind of it did feel a bit to me that it was not really fantastical enough. You know, like I think I said as well that it was very much like it was kind of standard fare dressed up as a medieval fantasy in some places.
But what would you say is what would be the fantastical? Like, when you say it's not fantastical enough, or could be said to be not fantastical enough, what do we
just not that it's missing it. It's just that it feels like it feels like a kind of a standard fare thing dressed up as, you know, kind of cosplaying as. It has all those things, but they don't feel. That's kind of like what I was saying, is that if it at any point cut away to a group of people sitting around the table, I think it wouldn't have been surprised, because as opposed to feeling something like a Game of Thrones where it feels like it's kind of grounded in that world and it feels kind of real, this felt more like something playing at being that thing. And I don't really necessarily mean it as a criticism, but just that I had those elements in there, but they just kind of felt a bit more like a set dressing, as opposed to getting a sense that it's a real kind of context or world, you know?
Right. Okay. I kind of get
Not
you.
really as a criticism, just that I think some.
I do kind of get you, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I watched this week, oh Christ, I'm banging this microphone. I'm still learning my layout here. The other thing I watched this week is I saw Shazam: Fury of the Gods, and I had a lot of fun with it in many, many places. And especially towards the end, I went, "What the fuck is going on? This is taking a fucking jump off a cliff." when it was doing its thing, I was like, these characters are endearing, these are fun. I didn't think Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu were amazing, but just because they were very, I guess, felt like very static characters. Dressed up in, again, you start seeing the templates within the universe where it's like the costumer, takes a Wonder Woman boot because that worked, and uses the same pattern, and it's like, this is me being really picky, but like, Helen Mirren, they just sit her on a dragon for a good chunk of it because it's a sitting position. Same thing with Lucy Liu. It's like there's no necessarily like, it's not like she's not doing Shanghai Noon Kung Fu this time. It's 25 years later. But they were fine.
Shanghai Noon.
Yeah, she's the one that Jackie Chan's rescuing the princess.
Is she?
Yeah. 100%, dude. I'm not wrong on this one.
I just don't remember her in it.
Okay. The only reason I'm hesitating is I'm thinking of Shanghai Noon versus Shanghai Nights. And I'm going, am I mixing this up with Rush Hour? No, it's 100%. She is the princess that he is sent to America to rescue. Are you looking that up, or are you just sitting quietly?
No.
Okay. I'm just looking at his hands working.
When you look at him now.
The wizard should not be brought back. I like Jimon Hunsu, but like it undermined what came before. To just have him be like, oh yeah, I turned to ash and forwent death in favor of sitting in some other dimensional prison. The ending, it took a steep dive off a cliff for me, because I got to a point where it's like, this is clearly the ending, and then I realized there's 40 minutes left of it. It's like, how the fuck are they going to string this out over 40 minutes? There's this moment on a rooftop where Billy has an emotional moment because everybody's been stripped of their powers, and his adopted mother's there, and he calls her mom for the first time, and she says, go kick this guy's ass, or go kick their ass, and he flies off, and there's a lot of flying around for 10 minutes, and then they meet back up in another situation, and they basically do the same scene again, and I'm like, why the fuck is this happening? Because they'd reduced the battlefield into like a little like force fieldy area, so he's at a barrier saying goodbye, and it's like, we just did this 10 minutes ago. And then rather than turning around and flying to the enemy that he's supposed to be facing at the end of it, he then walks, and it's like, wait, hold on, you just flew down to there to chat to them to fly back up. Why are you now walking through a fucking baseball field? I don't know, what would you call them, the fucking, you're walking out the tunnel of a baseball, because it takes place in a baseball field. There's a scene then where it's very much the end of the movie, with the wizard, and the wizard's got his staff, and it's I think that's enough I need to say there. But the wizard is there, and there's a whole sequence, and it's very much the end, and then it cuts back to their house and their domestic living, and they're all sitting around the table, and they're like, hey, we're so happy it all worked out, and then there's a knock at the door, and it's the wizard, and it's Jimon Hunsu, and he's got a hat, and he's shaved his beard, and he's all kind of like styled up now, and he's like, I have to go out and see the world for the first time in 2,000 years, and it's like, I just came to get my staff, and it's like, we just saw you in the last scene holding your staff. So it just feels like they shot a whole whack of different scenes, and it's like, we'll figure out an ending from this jigsaw puzzle later. And then there's a post-credit scene where Harcourt and the guy on the computer who played the King Shark as well, Agee, Steve Agee.
Yep.
Harcourt and Steve Agee, I can't remember Harcourt's real name, from Peacemaker. So you get to your post-credit scene, and it's the two of them walking up a sort of dirt road going, why are we so far away from everything? I don't know, but this guy's as powerful as they come, but he's pretty whatever, and Waller wants her for the team, and you're like, okay, who's this going to be? And it's Billy Batson, it's Shazam, and it's like, he's just standing in the rural area, like, shooting cans with lightning bolts, going, pa-choo, 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 and it's like, this isn't a fun scene in any way. Like, that should have been a character we've never seen before. Or you do like the way those stings worked when Nick Fury showed up was it's Tony Stark coming home and there's a stranger in his gaff, and the reveal is here's Nick Fury. You know, if they want us to be excited about him getting dragged into a team, which we won't be anyway because we've fucking 20 years into this shit, you see him fucking doing his laundry as Billy. Forget fucking... that should have been it. Like, he's going to school as Billy. It's him in the boy form. The secret identity is exposed. And somebody says, hey, Amanda Waller wants a word with you. And you turn around and it's Harcourt. And the reveal is, you know, the extended universe, you know? Not
in the reverse.
Not in the reverse. The reveal should be these people coming to him. They know his secret identity. Yeah. They come to the kid. Not let's start on these two people because you've just blown the reveal. Yeah. So I don't know what I don't know what I'm getting at. Ultimately, I had a lot of fun in many places with it. But there is just some weird, stupid shit happen towards the end of it, which probably is accurate to the whole production process of Black Adam and Shazam. There's a whole fucking running thing about what's my superhero name? And eventually that scene at the end goes, she asks the wizard, hey, what's my superhero name? And he pauses and goes, why, it's Shazam. And they'll go, oh, okay, that makes sense. And it's like, the fuck are we doing this? Why the fuck are we doing this? Especially, like, they're playing with the name throughout it. Somebody calls him Low Voltage, somebody calls him Thundercrack. And then they have the guy that played Billy Batson in the 60s.
This is a sequel called Shazam.
Yeah.
So, you know, if there was a time to do that, it was in the first film. Not when you released another one.
Yeah. They have the kid that plays... I say they have the kid. They have the 70-year-old man who played Billy Batson in the 60s as a bystander at one point. And he's wearing the red shirt with the yellow cuffs and the yellow band, which looks so ludicrously out of place, especially on a man of his age. And he goes, you go get him, Captain Marvel. And he like mumbles that because it's like the end. I think he says Captain Arvel because they lost Captain Marvel, right? That's why he switched to Shazam.
Did they lose it though?
I think they lost it, or at the very least there's an agreement in place, because I remember when they fully committed to rebranding during the New 52 comics event a decade ago. They put his hood up and tried to make him more grim, and they committed to calling him Shazam rather than calling him Captain Marvel. So again, the kid that played Captain Marvel in the 60s with the guy that played Marvel at that point was a guy called... It's Barry Bostwick's dad. I can't remember if it's Richard Bostwick or Larry Bostwick. It's a different name. I can't remember the first name. Barry Bostwick from Rocky Horror Picture Show and Spin City fame and many other things. It's just... I had another thought there on it, but I've kind of lost it. It's fun in many places. It's ropey in many places, but it's just a muddled production, I guess, all round. Oh, there's a thing that Michael Bay does, and Joss Whedon did it in Avengers as well, where like it's a featured extra basically. So like when you think of the waitress in Avengers, where we spend way too much time watching this person react to things, and it's like, why have we got this? Or Transformers, anytime there's a big visual effect, we've got somebody who's just like, before, like just looking around before they go running.
The waitress in Avengers was supposed to have a bigger part.
Yes, I have seen that deleted scene where she had a bigger part.
She was a child actress in something. Can't remember.
Yeah, I think she's in...
and she's Ellie in The Last of Us.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. And she's Ellie's mother in The Last of Us, the TV show. And she's in one of those D&D shows.
I did not know that.
She's in one of those D&D shows, I think, as well.
Critical Role.
Yes. But there's about 3 sequences, maybe 4 sequences in this, where we watch some random person just react to a lot of CG stuff before running away and getting rescued. It's
usually a lady with boobs in Michael Bay's stuff.
Yeah, and it to be fair, it's not in this, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, Michael Bay's bringing the like fucking 80s advertising concepts to it, like lots of slow angles,
and it has served him very well.
Indeed. But it's just grinding these scenes to a halt, to my mind. trying to run through what else. I watched Annihilation last night. I haven't seen that in ages. That's a fucking
cool.
That's a cool film. I just got back from the gig and Chris was putting it on, and it's I'd forgotten a load of it, but it's so atmospheric.
Have you watched?
Visually interesting?
Have you watched Men?
I haven't. No. Is that the same? Is that Alex Garland?
Scarland as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Are men great? Is it really positive about us?
No.
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 What's Alex
a lot of
Garland
people
trying to say?
didn't like it. I liked it.
Okay. Same thing with Annihilation, to be fair.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Have you watched Devs yet?
No.
No, of course you haven't.
No, I haven't. And I haven't watched Ex Machina. Yeah, I got gaps.
I think Devs might be my favorite thing that he's done. Yeah. Devs is fantastic.
Okay.
Watch Devs.
I will try.
No, you won't. You won't.
I
You won't even
will.
try.
I will try. I will.
It's been a year.
It's been 2 years or something. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Look, I'll get to The Sopranos, and then I'll
No, skip The Sopranos.
skip
Just
The
watch
Sopranos.
Devs.
Okay.
Skip The Sopranos.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching Annihilation again. The scare bear. I didn't realize it was Tessa Thompson. Like, she's come a long way since Annihilation, I guess, and she's also. It took me a minute to figure out. Like, she's definitely playing a much more timid kind of character than we're used to seeing her now as, Valkyrie and like kind of big, much more bombastic roles, I guess. Like, when you think of her, and she gives shit a lot of attitude these days, and she's like shot from low angles to make her look sort of empowered.
You probably hadn't
more
watched
powerful.
her in Westworld, though, have you?
I watched the first season of Westworld.
Because she's pretty
Okay.
pretty feisty in Westworld.
But what I'm saying is Annihilation, she's so timid by comparison, and she's shot as so small compared to Jennifer Jason Leigh and Gina Rodriguez, who I forgot was Jane the Virgin. So it's interesting seeing the sort of development of some, looking at somebody and going, oh yeah, you were like up and coming then, and now you've up and come. The scare bear is still scary.
It's great.
The visual stuff, the hybridization or the refraction of the
Music
genetic
is
patterns
great.
is cool. The music is great.
Music's great.
If you've not watched Annihilation, folks, go watch Annihilation.
And Devs.
And Devs, yeah. Like, it's not Aliens. I guess it's clear, it's worth making that distinction. It's not a big action movie, but it's a creepy exploration of a.
It's better than Aliens.
It's a how would you describe it? It's a creepy exploration of a extraterrestrial event.
Kind of a weird science kind of thing.
Yeah, it's got, like, you could look at it and go, like, it's got very video gamey structure. Like they're sent into a world with limited information and they're piecing it together as they go. And
Garland is a video games fan,
yeah,
as far as I know.
yeah. Oscar Isaac, Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Tessa Thompson, Gina Rodriguez. I don't know who else I'm missing. There's definitely one other person on that team whose name I can't remember.
There's Natalie Portman,
Yeah.
Tessa Thompson,
Yeah,
Gina Rodriguez,
yeah.
Jennifer Jason Leigh. That's it on the team. isn't it?
No, Cass is
There's someone else?
Shepherd is the first person that gets killed, and I can't remember who that person was. That actor. The Shepherd is the first person that gets eaten by the scare bear. Spoilers.
Can't remember.
Because
I
then
don't remember anybody else in it.
Gina Rodriguez's character freaks out and ties Tessa Thompson, Natalie Portman, and Jennifer Jason Leigh to chairs. Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Hmm.
Who else is in that? Let's see.
It's just the fourth member of the team we're missing. Apologies, fourth member.
I think it's the lady. Well, the thing is, I don't remember, but I'm seeing here there's a woman who is in Devs, so it's probably her.
Yeah, the character's name is Shepherd.
Okay, it's not her. Oh, I do not remember that person. All right, so I think there is an actress. Yeah, the main actress in Devs has a smaller part in Annihilation. That's not who you're thinking of. Who you're thinking of is Tuva Novotny, who I do not remember at all. But I've only seen the film once, probably. So that's nothing. It's not a commentary on her or
onto her.
anything. I just don't remember.
Look, not important. No, not that her career isn't important or representing.
No, I
her
mean you said it
part-
now, and you can't take it back. It's out there. It's just more evidence of your,
My what?
rampant misogyny. Yeah. Just speaking of, the Marvels looks rubbish. I think it was Rolling Stone had a headline just saying like, if you don't like the film, just come out and admit it that you don't like women. And normally I'd be right with them, but this just doesn't look good. And it's not because of who's in it; it's because I think it doesn't look good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just.
But that's not
watching-
to say that that there's a weird amount of hate for Brie Larson online. It's weird.
You think it looks bad?
Yeah. I think it was a weak trailer.
Yeah. I was having. I don't know
Whether it looks bad or not, I guess that's still up in the air. I think it was a very weak trailer.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot out of the trailer. I did enjoy it. I was still kind of hopeful. Like, I like Brie Larson.
Okay.
I like her. I liked the redesign. I mean, you can go back and listen to when we were watching Miss Marvel on Disney Plus. The redesign of her costume was like a big plus for me. I really liked how they changed it. I just saw somebody took some screenshots of the movie trailer, and it looks like they swap again. Now I'll send them to you on WhatsApp. You tell me if this is real, because I just saw it last night before I went to bed. So maybe there's a chance this is some dog shit fan draw over. But I was like, these are horrible. Why are we doing this? Is this the stuff that's in the trailer, or did fans do this or something? Because I don't like it.
I don't know. I haven't watched it enough. I mean, we could very quickly just watch it now and find out.
Yeah, have a look. Well, I mean, like,
do that.
even before looking at it, like, that costume on Brie.
I could see that working in the film, but what they had was great, and I don't know why they would change that. Yeah, no, that is real. It's a shot of the three of them, and like it's a shot in particular from the trailer that I thought looked pretty bad at the start, where she just like crash lands on some moon, and then like three people run up to her, and it just looks. I'll screenshot that one first. That was the first thing watching the trailer. It is about 40 seconds in, and I just kind of went, "Oh my god, looks like dog shit." 1 second.
It's mad. I don't know. I don't know, man. Sometimes they just nail it, and then sometimes they go, let's just change things for the sake of changing things.
Like that first shot, when I was watching the trailer the first time and I saw that, I was like, what? How did this make it into anything? And then why put it in the trailer? I've sent you the shot there of the costumes. It's real. And yeah, it looks fucking dreadful. But like I've heard the plot synopsis kind of for this, or not even a synopsis, like really
You got a good overlay or a good
detailed
outline.
thing of what happens, and it's just like it just sounds bad anyway. And you're kind of holding out to see. It's like, okay, maybe the director can kind of, if they can inject enough personality and their own kind of style into it, maybe that will work. But no. Oh, I've heard people say it doesn't really work, and looking at this, it's like I can't see it working. Especially well, like given I get it on one sense because there's such a backlash against Larson. It's very much giving the finger to those people in terms of what they've done with it. But at the same time, it's like if you don't pull it off, you don't just lose. I mean, you've already lost the people who don't like Larson anyway. But you've also lost the people in the middle, you know? There's a musical number on one of the planets they go to, because everybody on the planet sings, so all the dialogue in that scene is sang. So
I'm so
that's a
unhappy by
bit.
that. I'm so
Yeah,
unhappy.
it's a musical number. You can see it in the trailer. You can guess kind of where it is, and it's just like awful idea. Unless you're really like a director with a real personality and style, it's just like
Who's the
don't.
director?
She's not done much. She's only done like I think Candyman,
Okay.
the remake, and like that was good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, I remember that
um,
director.
yeah, I
Um.
think it's her, Nia DaCosta. I think her name is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't. I know that that's the director. I don't know if that's the director of this, but James Gunn made a thing about the fact that he always has musical numbers in his movies. Like he likes putting that in there. Like at the very least, dancing. You know, when you think of the opening of Guardians, he gets dancing in. And okay, that's a thing we've come to expect from James Gunn. Just out of the blue,
And I don't
in
think
a
he pulls it off
Captain
as the thing as
Marvel
well. I think
movie.
it's I think it's contrived when he does it. I don't think it's like I said. There's a director with a personality and a style, and then there's a director trying to give the impression that they have that. You know.
Okay.
Um,
I enjoy it, and I do think that like I don't know. I think the majority of people watching, I don't know, maybe I'm underestimating it, like people that pick up a random James Gunn movie and see a dance moment are like, oh, this is fun, rather than going, oh, he does this every time. You know, like people aren't necessarily following filmmakers the way that you and I are, but I hear what you're saying. They're taking a big swing, and if it works, it fucking works. But like this character, like Brie, I think she's great. I really do think she's great. I think she's really good at the action. I do like her.
I
found her
like
funny.
the first film.
I like the first film. I've seen. You remember that interview where somebody goes, "How long do you think you'll play Captain Marvel?" And she's at the line going, "I don't know. I don't know. Does anybody even want it? I don't know." Like she's got a sense of humor that is, because I do think there's a degree of that's tongue in cheek, but maybe there's an element of like her, like there's definitely a bit of sort of dour sense of humor in her that like wants to say the sort of unpopular or necessarily uncomfortable thing in the moment because she finds it funny, but like it doesn't help to make me go into this thinking she's kind of doing this under duress because she doesn't think people like it, and she doesn't want to keep doing this. It's like, did you ever want to do this then, or were you just doing it because it's the big franchise film that pays the most? I really
That's
like
not the
her.
impression I get.
I know. I think there's a little bit of like she's kind of irritated that it wasn't received well, and it wasn't received well by what we call just the usual dorks, you know. And that's become the narrative around this character is frustrating because that movie's fun. That movie is good fun, and I'm looking forward to this. I think they upped the game with the costume. I hope they don't walk that back. I enjoyed Miss Marvel. We talked about that, but we just said that like it would have been so much fun if it was just a local area thing rather than getting into like, why is there a world-threatening villain from another dimension? Like it could have been so much fun if it was just her.
Especially when they went nowhere with it and they didn't know where they were going, and
they threw it away like halfway through.
Yeah. And even in this, like them changing places when they use their powers, it's just. Why?
Yeah.
It's just it seems like it's gimmick, I guess. But
yeah, we have. I don't know. They're going to have to really explain to us, and I mean, maybe they will. They're going to have to really explain to me why their power sets are somehow intrinsically linked. Because one of them's coming from encountering the Scarlet Witch. One of them's coming from encountering ancient technology, and one of them's coming from Kree science. Did we have some suggestion that the bands that Kamala Khan has are associated with Kree?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't
At least
remember.
that's something.
Yeah. I think I found that out like sometime last year, and I might have said, but I've forgotten.
Okay.
But like the thing is, the shot I sent you there of the costumes, like of the three of them in that one shot, where they've got this kind of halo around them because they're on a green screen. That screams reshoot because the film didn't work, I mean, reshoots are normal because schedules and stuff. We need to go back and change this or that. But this just looks like, oh my god, what?
We're not in the same room.
Yeah, there's like, yeah. I'm expecting it to bomb. Especially like it's 7 months away. If you want anything to do well, you got to market the fuck out of it. You know.
Is there
They would want
anything to be
they
made?
would want to start marketing this as. I mean, the film is whatever the film is. You've got 7 months then to convince people that.
That costume's so good. Sorry.
Yeah, you've got 7 months to convince people that like the film that you have and that you're about to release is something that people really want to see and they'll enjoy. So now is the time to start sowing the seeds for, this is a really cool out there, we're doing quirky stuff with this and it's a lot of fun, and just start sowing the seeds for that so people know what they're getting into, rather than, a couple of people on opening night going, man, there's a fucking musical number in the film.
Are we slowly fading Brie to the background there? Like, is she phasing out? Like, she's the smallest featured.
I kind of expected them to do that anyway because, with X-Men on the way and stuff like that. I thought that'd be I don't know.
Ah, look. I don't know. Did you see the Star Wars Visions trailer?
Yeah, it's great.
Looks great. I didn't realize Aardman were doing it, but that makes perfect sense. You can spot a Cartoon Saloon short from a mile away. They brought out some of the old Brendan and the Secret of Kells styling. Guy in a robe. It looks fun. I can't wait.
Is Brendan Gleeson going to be in it?
I'd love it. It would be funny, You got Hooks. You got Donal in the other one.
Yeah.
That's May the 4th. Because May the 4th be with you. So that's coming up. I was only just watching one or two of the Star Wars Visions shorts back. They're fun. I like them.
They released the final trailer for Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
I am on board.
Oh, it sold you, did it?
Yeah.
Okay, that didn't take long. Between one episode and the next, you were
I
like...
knew they would.
Right.
I think I even said that,
So what's different in this trailer that sold you? I haven't seen it.
I guess one of my biggest problems with the first game is that like a lot of the story is told in flashbacks.
Okay.
The world is kind of sparse, but it suits the game for like at the first 2/3 because you're waking up in a post-apocalyptic kind of world and you're surviving and you're amnesiac, and it kind of makes sense for a while for it to be light on story. But then by the end, I was just kind of hoping there'd be a bit more of the franchise mainstays, It's like, oh, this never happened or that never happened. And, I was kind of hoping to see this or that version. So the trailer kind of shows that, yeah, those things that maybe you'd expect from the Zelda franchise that weren't in the first game, they're in this now. To what extent, I don't know. It could be disappointing when I actually play it, but it looks like it's fleshed out more in that sense.
Okay.
And then the other thing, like I said, I'm not really... I know the kind of building, crafting mechanic is probably going to be really robust and great, but it wouldn't be a selling point kind of for me. It's set in the same world, which is kind of one of the best open worlds I've kind of played in. But now there's this kind of sky element.
Okay.
But from what we'd seen so far, they looked just like... it just looked like a kind of a flat terrain just above, in the sky.
Right.
As opposed to being like this whole other thing superimposed over the map you're already playing on. So kind of what we'd seen so far was just a bunch of flat rocks with trees and stuff. Whereas now it looks like, no, there's a whole map that is every bit as expansive as the world below. It's just now, it's above you.
Okay.
So like there's there's verticality to those islands as well. It's not just these flat pieces of rock. There's buildings and structures, and it looks like there's an entire other world above the world that you've already played in.
Cool.
And there's an underground element as well to it, and it just looks. It looks like they've
more
really
complete, more holistic.
Yeah. So
that's great.
Yeah. So it's a great trailer. It's a really good trailer. You should watch it. Like a lot of it won't mean much to you, but there's cool stuff in there. There's they've put a lot of emphasis. Like one of the best things about the first game is not just the climbing, but the hang glider you have.
Yes. Yeah.
So like any kind of exploration you do, you go, okay, well if I don't know where I'm going or how to get over there, I can at least glide over to it. And so now you've got this whole other, like I said, verticality. You've got this map superimposed on the world map you've already played in. But like one of the kind of armor sets you can get, it's a wingsuit.
Oh, cool!
It looks cool.
Fun.
It's like that looks fun. I was saying like some of the weapon crafting and stuff that they have looks kind of goofy. Some of the machine building stuff looks kind of silly, but there's a shot in the trailer, and it's still very silly, but it just kind of made me laugh. It's just like I've seen people say like I'm going to build a fucking mech or a Gundam in this, and it showed a hint of how you might do that. It's basically a concrete slab, a big concrete pillar with 4 wheels in it, and then they've attached a little arm to the side of it with a weapon. It looks dumb, but it made me laugh as opposed to like the other stuff. I was like, that looks kind of shitty. Whereas this was like, and it's going up against an enemy that has built a fortress on a moving rock thing,
right?
And just the fact that that's a possible thing
solution
to do in the game was just kind of appreciate the humor and the range of options in that. So it looks cool. Looks good.
That's great.
I've got my, I'd pre-ordered my copy back in February anyway. Like I said, I was always going to play it. I was never disappointed by anything I'd seen. It just, I wasn't yet hyped for it, which was strange. Like people have even said, like they did a gameplay reveal 2 weeks ago or whatever it was, 10 minutes of gameplay. And a lot of people were saying they should have shown this trailer first. It's like the game is a month away, and for 3-4 years, people had no idea what the game was.
Yeah,
there was so much speculation and ambiguity. It's like people should have been this hyped for it months ago, not a month before release. It's an odd strategy. So see how that works out.
I have nothing else than like talking through all the shit I'm doing here, and I think that'll get tiring for people. So
I don't think so. It's a travel blog.
Yeah. I mean, first open mic this week was a place called Redline VR. It's a bar that does VR, which was kind of cool. Weird, like 10 by 10 cubes of like a driving range with just people in there doing VR. So it was like kind of quiet. Cat in the theater, which was kind of fun. There was a little theater space, but there were 2 cats that were like upstaging people by just walking around. The audience was distracted. Cole's little dive bar near here was fun. Thursday was Shuba's, a place called Shuba's again. Bucket. This was a bucket mic. I was the 5th or 6th white guy comedian in a black t-shirt to go up. So by the time I went up, I just like, I don't know how well my act went, but like I half abandoned the first, you've got 4 minutes, and I like gave over the first 90 seconds to like, okay, let's do the white guy checklist. I don't always flush the toilet. I flush it every 3rd time. The top of my stove top is filthy. I did see 2 girls, 1 cup. It ruined my relationship with soft serve ice cream. Like I just took a bunch of shit that had been said through the night and like checklisted it. I don't know. I think everybody who I was checking, it's not checking sounds wrong, but everybody who I was sort of like calling back to had already left, because I don't necessarily want to be undermining anybody's material. There was one comedian there who was like, I spoke to her the next day as well, and she's just like, I'm sick to fuck of hearing about white guys and the impossible challenge of figuring out sex with a woman. And it's like, it's fair. You do hear same concepts over and over again. I don't have that material, I don't think. Again, I focus on, the comedy of history. And then I was talking to her again last night at the VFW on the Power Hour thing. I got to go buy burgers and chicken and hot dogs, and I think Kat said she might provide a little review of Dungeons and Dragons, and we might edit that in at the end. Alright, so long-time listener of the podcast, Catherine Friend, sent through a review for the Dungeons and Dragons film. Here we go. Delighted a fun film came out based on D&D, rolling on the craze from Stranger Things and Critical Role. I do think there were missed opportunities to mention more races and classes. Perhaps they wanted to avoid clunky exposition. But I was left wondering who and what each character was. Most of the characters were human or half-human. Missed opportunity there too. Genuinely got excited thinking Jonathan character would play a role in it. Yeah, he was a fun character, Cat. Big Birdman creature. A lot of practical SFX went into him. The story was fun. I was surprised at how seriously the film took itself. Either it was comedy that didn't land and they tried to pivot to drama, or vice versa. This was a problem with the script and poor chemistry between some characters. Seriously, the bard and his daughter, absolutely bizarre. It was difficult to understand some relationships within the group. Lastly, Simon's character was only one with a personal journey. The rest vaguely bobbed about. A solid, fun film. Personally, give it a 6.5 out of 10, but happy to stretch to 7 because of peer pressure. 7 out of 10, solid. There's a wide variety of races and classes mentioned in the film. We do encounter cat people and shapeshifters and various animal sorts. I guess what you're saying is you would have liked to have seen, one of those types more clearly on the team or on the squad running about. There was a wizard, there was a bard, there was a barbarian, there was I don't know what she was. She was a tiefling, a shapeshifter character. But yeah, like she had horns, but like the tail wasn't particularly clear. I think there's an element here of expectation. I went in knowing exactly what I was going to get, and it's a comedy drama. The comedy is solid, the drama is solid. There's some interesting stuff happening. Maybe there's a little bit of alienation between a child actor and an adult actor, but like I also think the girl that played Chris Pine's daughter did a great job. So we're not on the same page, but we're agreeing to disagree on this one, Kat.
Codswallop.